Trojans on the wide plain. And the rage of Achilles was such that many brave men of Troy fell by a spear and a sword. None could stand against him, and he slew many men as they fled the approach of his chariot. The Trojans were soon put to rout, and they ran back toward the city gates, though many were struck by Greek arrows and spears in the back as they fled.
Yeah, I know. Why are you wearing it?
Only Anais was the son that goddess Aphrodite bore when she fell in love with a mortal nobleman of a Troy named Anchises. Only he of all the Trojans stayed to do battle with the mighty Achilles. And when Achilles' chariot approached him, Aeneas cast his spear, and it struck square in the shield of the Greek, making such a sound as would frighten any man. But the work of Vulcan had been fashioned of 5 metal plates, 2 of brass, 2 of tin, and 1 of gold. The spear pierced only 2 thicknesses and was stopped by the 3rd. Now Achilles threw his spear, which easily penetrated Aeneas' shield, and passed right through, but touched not his body and caused no wound. Though deadly frightened, Aeneas did not flee. As Achilles drew his sword and rushed at him, the Trojan picked up a large stone from the ground and was about to hurl it at the onrushing figure in gleaming armor, when Zeus looked down and saw that Aeneas would surely be slain. And Zeus commanded the sea god Poseidon to hide Aeneas in a cloud of fog, for it had been decreed that he and his children after him should reign in the time to come over the people of Troy. Achilles approached the cloud, but could not find Aeneas, for he had been lifted away by Poseidon to the rear of the battle. And so Achilles turned his wrath upon whatever Trojan he saw, and many were slain as they fled from him.
Now King Priam looked down from the city walls and beheld his whole army in flight, and he ordered the gates to be opened so they could have shelter behind the walls. The Trojans flocked into the city through the gates, nor did they stay to ask who was safe and who was dead. So great was their fear and such their haste. Only Hector remained outside to prevent the Greeks from following them into the city. His father, Priam, pleaded with him from atop the wall, saying, "O my son, do not battle with Achilles, for he is stronger than you and is much loved by the gods. Come within the walls, my dear son. Fear were the hope of the city." But he could not move the heart of Hector. Then Queen Hecuba cried to him, "O Hector, my son, have pity on me and come inside these walls. If Achilles conquers you, then not only will you die, but the Greeks will kill all the sons of Troy and carry all its daughters into captivity." But her prayers were in vain, for Hector was determined to await the coming of Achilles and to stand against him in battle. Achilles came near, shaking the great spear over his right shoulder, and the flashing of his armor was like to fire or to the sun when it rises. Hector trembled when he saw him, and his heart failed him so that he turned his back and fled, as fast as he could toward the city gate. But Achilles pursued him, just as a hawk pursues a dove among the hills, and Hector could not reach the city gate. Turning then, he sped past the watchtower and along the wagon road that ran around the city walls, with Achilles fast upon his heels all the while. In this way, they circled the city 3 times, as the Trojans on the wall and the Greeks upon the plain looked on. The gods looked down from Olympus and saw brave Hector, who had been the most valiant of warriors, running for his life. And Zeus took pity on him, well knowing that Hector was destined to die by the hand of Achilles. And he ordered Apollo to put strength in Hector's knees so that he might be able to stand and fight Achilles like the brave prince he had always been. Then did Hector stop and cry to Achilles, "3 times have you pursued me around the walls, and I dared not to stand against you. But now I fear you no more. Only let us make a covenant that whoever is victorious shall keep the other's armor as his prize, but he shall swear to give the body back to its people. Will you join me in this covenant?"
Achilles frowned at him and said, "Hector, talk not of covenants to me. Men and lions make no oaths to each other, neither is there any agreement between wolves and sheep. I promise only to have vengeance upon you and your body for all my comrades you have slain, and especially for Patroclus, a man whom I loved beyond all others."
Then he threw his great spear, but Hector saw it coming and avoided it, crouching down so that the spear flew over his head and stuck itself in the ground. But Athena snatched it up and gave it back to Achilles, although this Hector did not see. Then Hector cast his spear, and his arm was true, though it struck Achilles' gleaming shield and bounded far away. How Hector drew his great sword and rushed at Achilles, only now to see his adversary armed anew with him giant spear, its point shining bright as the evening star. Hector saw that his own death was near. Achilles aimed his spear toward a spot unprotected by the armor that Hector had taken from Patroclus by the collarbone, where the neck joins the shoulder. There he drove in the spear, and the point emerged through the back of Hector, and Hector fell in the dust. His voice now faint, Hector made his last appeal. "O Achilles, I beg you, by all that you hold dear, to give my body to my father and mother, that they may bury it, and they will pay you large sums of gold and silver." But the wrath of Achilles was boundless, and he replied, "Speak not to me of ransom, for Priam shall not buy you back, no, not for your weight in gold. The dogs and vultures shall eat at your flesh, and noble Patroclus shall know that he has been avenged." And when Hector had breathed his last Achilles fastened thongs of oxhide to the ankles of the body, and tied other ends to his chariot, and he dragged the body several times around the dusty plain, in full view of Priam and Hecuba, and Hector's wife, Andromache, who wept uncontrollably at the hideous sight.
And now for the rare footage of Achilles losing his heels.
Cause I got a really big team, and they need some